Greetings, this is Doc Ock coming to you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central. And yes, it is well afternoon, but we're going to do our show and hope that you don't act like a loon. Just because we didn't come a little sooner doesn't mean you need to act like you all up in some Luna. Yeah, that's right. Don't take a trip to the moon. All right, so today we've got some a lot of work to do. Too much, how do you say? Too much work and too little time. Too much work, too little time. And that's our proverb for the day. Too little work, too little time. And that is not an icon proverb. That's one of my proverbs. Too much work, too little time. Now, as for you all out there in tubular Black Facts land, you know what we need you to do. Number one, give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. And then last but not least, go ahead and spread the word far and wide. Let everybody know that we're here at some point during the day. We will get here. Okay? This month I can see is going to be a very difficult month because these stories of these black scientists and inventors, very difficult to track down. I thought I had more of a handle on it as long as I've been knowing about these black scientists and inventors, but I come to find out that my knowledge is very much on the surface. Hadn't dug very deep, don't have a lot of biographies here in the archive, so we're having to bone up a little bit. That's right. We got to tone it up and bone it up. And you may have to do some of that yourself over there. So let's get jiggy with it. Today, we're featuring none other than the man who has brought us light for many, many moons. None other than Lewis Howard Latimer. Born 1848, passed on into the land of the ancestors, 1928. No, he did not, quote unquote, invent the light bulb. But as some people have noted, these inventions that we talk about that people engaged in, well, each inventor, each scientist had to build on the inventions and creations of those who came before him. And that's one of the reasons why we want to always remember our ancestors. Very important to do our libations before we do any events, okay? Because we want to remember our ancestors. Lewis Howard Latimer is one of them. What his innovation was the carbon filament process. In other words, he came up with a filament where a light bulb would last for a much longer time than with the other materials that people had been using for filaments. They tried bamboo, they tried this, that, and the other thing, but the carbon filament was the one that really brought light into the world, quote unquote. So we're going to be reading about him today, and we're going to be reading from this little booklet right here. The booklet is produced by the Thomas Alva Edison's associate. No, it's produced by the Thomas Alva Edison Foundation, right, up in Detroit, Michigan. The Thomas Alva Edison Foundation in Detroit, Michigan, wrote this little pamphlet on Lewis Howard Latimer back in 1973. We are going to be getting another biography in hopefully soon here, and we'll return to the story of Lewis Howard Latimer and give you some more details further on up the road. But for now, we're just going to give you a little brief overview of Lewis Howard Latimer and the life of Lewis Howard Latimer. And we're going to start off with a poem. The poem goes like this. Hope, the two fortresses which are the last to yield in the human heart, are hope and pride. Hope springs eternal in the human breast and is as necessary to life as the act of breathing. For who would live if life held no allurements? There must be vistas flying out beyond that promise, more than present conditions yield. Tomorrow may be fair, however stormy the sky of today. Some blessings have been ours in the past, and these may be repeated or even multiplied. We create our future by well improving present opportunities, however few and small they may be. Habit is a powerful means of advancement, and the habit of eternal vigilance and diligence rarely fails to bring a substantial reward. Add to this the pride of achievement, the desire to rank among the successful souls on earth, and we have the factors which have brought some of the ablest of human beings into the limelight that revealed them to an admiring world as leaders and examples. And that's a poem by Lewis Howard Latimer. For you see, the spirit of invention begins with the spirit of creativity. And when you begin to think creatively, poetry is something you do quite naturally. So Thomas Alva Edison's associate, Lewis Howard Latimer, a black inventor. And this is a short biography and related experiments that you can do. Produced by the Thomas Alva Edison Foundation, GE, and the Greenfield Village and Henry Ford Museum, which I haven't been to yet, but one day I'll have to go. Okay, so we're going to read there's a little, it's not exactly an introduction, but it says, to the young people of America, a successful struggle against great odds is the most stirring of human dramas. Such was the life and career of Lewis H. Latimer, a black man important in the development of this nation's electrical industry. Mr. Latimer was an inventor, patent authority, poet, draftsman, author, and musician whose thirst for knowledge and determination to succeed carried him from humble beginnings as the son of a runaway slave to become one of the original Edison pioneers, a group of Thomas Edison associates and fellow inventors who brought light to the world through electricity. This booklet briefly tells of Latimer's struggle and achievements, and through trying the simple experiments included based on Latimer's inventions, any American youngster can learn more about the value of this great man's contributions. Today, our nation sorely needs technically oriented young men and women, especially young black men and women, with the kind of imagination, courage, and the determination to succeed that enabled Latimer to conquer difficult technical fields in the volatile Reconstruction period after the Civil War. His life is a demonstration of what is possible in America despite the imperfections of our society, and in fact, Lewis Latimer is worthy of emulation by all American youth. There are many ways to determine if your interests and skills lie in engineering, science, or a related technical field. One way is to work the experiments inside. If you enjoy doing them, perhaps you should look deeper into these fields and learn about the many opportunities waiting for those who properly prepare themselves. For we always must remember the 5P principle. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. The 5P principle. There's a need, there's an opportunity, there's an ample reward for all who pursue such training. You too can climb to the top of a technical profession. And that was written by Reginald H. Jones, chairman of GE at the time, and Walker L. Sisler, the chairman of the Detroit Edison Company, and chairman of the Thomas Alva Edison Foundation. Now we get into the actual biography of Lewis Howard Latimer, written by Robert G. Kulakian, associate curator of the Edison, Edisoniana, and Greenfield Village and Henry Ford Museum, Dearborn, Michigan. Wow, that's a lot. A model for today's youth. The story of Lewis Howard Latimer is the story of a self-made man, a black man. He was the son of a runaway slave, yet from that humble beginning, he rose to become one of the early builders of the electric light industry. While helping to shape this industry, Latimer worked at several companies and with a lot of important people. At one time, he was an associate of Thomas Alva Edison. In fact, he belonged to the original Edison pioneers, a select group of Edison's fellow inventors and friends. Because of his varied interests and desires, Latimer grew in many ways. He was an inventor, a patent expert, a draftsman, an engineer, an author, a poet, and a musician. In addition, he was a patriot, a devoted family man, an organizer, an active member of many do-good, quote-unquote do-good, organizations. As you can see them, then, Lewis H. Latimer deserves a great deal of credit and respect, and he also deserves more attention from all of us who live better as a result of what he and his associates contributed to the modern world. This outstanding man had the courage to dream an ambitious dream and make it come true. His accomplishments, although little known, prove that a determined person can make good no matter what the odds are against him or her. As a boy, Lewis Howard Latimer was born in Chelsea, Massachusetts on September 4, 1848, fourth child of George and Rebecca Latimer. His father, George, who had been a slave, fled to Boston from a plantation in Norfolk, Virginia in 1842. George's flight to freedom, by the way, formed the basis of a poetic story called Massachusetts to Virginia, written by John Greenleaf Whittier. When George's owner found him and tried to return him to slavery, the local citizens became very aroused. As a result, they collected and paid the $400 needed to buy George's freedom. As a free man, George worked as a barber and paper hanger, but he earned very little money. The best he could provide his 4 children was a few years of grammar school learning. Young Lewis, despite limited opportunities for education, became quite interested in reading, writing stories, and drawing. He wanted to get a good education, but he also knew the family needed help. So, at the age of 10 years old, Lewis began working with his father at night, hanging wallpaper. Later, he got a job as an office boy for Isaac Hull Wright, a famous Boston lawyer. Lewis naturally had bitter feelings about slavery. At the age of 16, he joined the U.S. Navy to fight against slavery during the Civil War. He served as a landsman on the side-wheel gunboat USS Massasoit until the war ended in 1865. The start of his career. Returning home, Lewis obtained a job as a helper in the office of Crosby and Gould. This was a well-known firm of patent lawyers in Boston, Massachusetts. It was here that Lewis's earlier interest in drawing began to blossom. In his spare time, he taught himself the principles of drafting, in other words, mechanical drawing. Noting his new ability, the company made him a draftsman. Lewis wasted no time in working and studying to move ahead. Shortly after that, he was named chief draftsman of the company. In his position, he prepared drawings of inventions that went to the U.S. Patent Office in Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, he made the initial drawings and assisted with the preparation of the patent application for Alexander Graham Bell's telephone. So he was involved in the development of the telephone and the electric light as well. On November 10, 1873, Lewis Latimer married Mary Wilson, and they eventually had two daughters, Jeanette and Louise. The years with Maxim. By 1874, Latimer had worked on many mechanical inventions, and his creative ideas were starting to become known. One of those impressed with Latimer was Hiram S. Maxim. Maxim was an inventor and founder of the U.S. Electric Lighting Company in Bridgeport, Connecticut. In 1880, Maxim invited Latimer to join his company. Latimer accepted. While there, he invented and patented a process for making carbon filaments for light bulbs. He taught the process to company workers, and soon it was being used in factory production. Latimer also assisted in installing Maxim lighting systems in New York City, Philadelphia, Montreal, and London, England. During the installation of lighting in Montreal, where a lot of people spoke only French, Latimer learned the language in order to competently instruct the workers. In London, he set up the first lamp factory for the Maxim Weston Electric Light Company. That required him to teach the workmen all the processes for making Maxim lamps, including glass blowing. Dang, glass blowing. Wow, he really was into something. In a brief 9 months, Latimer had the factory in full production. Upon his return to America in 1882, he left Maxim for more challenging jobs. First, he worked for the Olmsted Electric Lighting Company in Brooklyn, New York. Then he moved to the Acme Electric Light Company in New York City. Finally, in 1884, he joined the Edison Electric Light Company. It was also located in New York and was the headquarters of several firms founded by Thomas Edison. Latimer was named draftsman engineer. And then you've seen, as we've been going through these slides, pictures of him with some of those Edison pioneers. So in brief, that is the story of Lewis H. Latimer, pioneer in the field of electrical engineering, dealing with patents on the telephone and the light bulb. So we're talking about somebody here whose work actually set in motion a lot of things that are still in motion today in terms of how lighting systems are set up. Instead of having the system set up in series, he switched it to setting the light systems up in parallel, so that when one light would go out, the other ones would not all go out as well. So you could have one light go out and take a week or two, or however long it took you to get to that light and replace the bulb. Otherwise, your whole neighborhood would just go dark, 0 dark 30 every time a light bulb went out. That would have been kind of a drag. So, enough said about Lewis Latimer. We're going to go ahead and close out this session of Doc Ock at noon and 9. We are pleased as punch that we have been able to continue, that we are able to continue bringing these presentations to you. We do apologize for the lateness of the hour sometimes, but it's been much more difficult than we expected. We thought we had more information that we could easily share with you on some of these black scientists, but unfortunately, we didn't have what we thought we had. And I don't know if I misplaced some things or what, because I thought I had images of all these people, etc., and I'm having to go back and start from scratch and dig up imagery, etc., etc., etc. So that part's been a bit of a drag, but we're going to continue on anyway. And by the end of the month of September, we will have a full-blown program that we can present to anyone, anywhere, churches, schools, colleges, universities, wherever you may be at. If you'd like us to come and do a presentation, or you'd like us to do a Zoom presentation, let us know. You got a way to contact us. Go ahead and get in touch. We need your support, and you need ours too. So, one hand washes the other. Second proverb for today. That's a bonus proverb. I'm giving that one out for free. Oh, that's right. All of this is free. Well, whatever. You know what I mean. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and clock out. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to the Tubular Black Facts channel yet, now's the time. Do it while you hear this rhyme. I'll be back tonight with more black scientists and inventors. So look for us tonight, 9 o'clock. We'll be here ready to rock. In the meantime, may peace guide your way. And let me just say, have a good day to Elizabeth Buckner and Robert Wilkes. And where'd my band go? Yeah, there goes Ronnie. All right. Let me say peace guide your way. Ronnie, how are the children? I hope you all are doing well out there. Peace out, y'all. With justice, of course. That just goes without saying. That's why I didn't say it.